Ever wonder what separates the top 1% of all baseball players from the rest? It's not just about talent. It's about mastering a set of skills and habits that anyone can develop. Today, I'm going to show you how to be one of those 1%ers. Now, if you're new here, my name is Evan Mendoza, and I'm quite literally that baseball guy that talks mentality, development, and even recruiting. I've also played 7 years of pro ball between the St. Louis Cardinals and San Diego Padres. If you stay to the end of this video, I'm going to show you a process on how to become your own best coach, so you'll never have to do another private lesson again. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to go down below in the description and download our 27-page blueprint, where I give away everything that I teach all of my students inside my academy using the triple play. Alright guys, it's not the sexiest topic, but the fundamentals is probably one of the most important things that all professional baseball players and the most elite baseball players do. Not only just on like a weekly basis or really every other day, it's a daily occurrence to work on these fundamentals. And I know that you guys probably think like, wow, Evan's talking about fundamentals right here. What an obvious topic. But in all reality, when I was in pro ball, not only with the Cardinals and Padres, but like even at NC State, we did fundies. And if you guys don't know what fundies are, basically this is like, cutoffs and relays, rundowns, bunt D, first and third. And these are the fundamentals, of course, team fundamentals that are very, very important to be able to win ball games. You have to have a great understanding of really all of these. But then also when it comes to your own individual skills, it's really also important to, understand how, it sounds really simple, but how to throw, how to hit, and how to catch. Wow. Crazy stuff, right? But in all reality, the best baseball players know how to throw the ball, not just know how to throw the ball, but know how to be accurate with it, right? If you're playing 162 games and you get a ground ball at shortstop, you throw it over to the first baseman, you better not be throwing it at his shoelaces every single throw, right? Because at the end of the day, you should be able to hit them in the chest every single day. It's repetitions. We work on this when we're warming up before the game on the line. And if you're not practicing this at a young age, if you're in high school, these are the things that you should start to think about, because think about if you're playing at the next level. You're playing at, Tennessee or at LSU or at UCLA, and there might be a crowd behind you, right? You have to hit the your throwing or your catch partner in the chest, because if not, you might honestly hit someone in the stands. And that's actually a true story that actually happened in pro ball, which I thought to myself, I was like, wow, okay, that can't happen, right? But it does happen. So always, always, always be focusing on these small little fundamentals, right? How well we throw the ball, how well we catch the ball. Obviously, knowing how to catch the ball. That's actually a compliment that I was given at NC State. I was actually transitioning almost into a catcher. And the reason that Chris Hart, the recruiting coordinator, by the way, mentioned that he thinks that I could be a good catcher is because he knows that I know how to catch the ball. And that's when I was an infielder, and he could just kind of hear the pop every single time that I was playing catch. I just caught it right there perfectly in the pocket. It was a loud pop, and then he just basically made the comment, "You know how to catch the ball." And if you think about it, like I'm catching the ball alongside other D1 athletes. Everyone should know how to catch the ball, but that's one small little area that he saw in me. Obviously gave me a shot at catching. Really, the whole catching thing lasted a couple months, is more or less just to get some playing time. But guys, catching the ball, knowing how to catch it, of course, hitting the ball, knowing your mechanics, knowing your approach, these are all technically fundamentals of the game, right? So very, very important areas of our game. But next, I really want to talk about one area that I love talking about is this growth mindset. All right, this growth mindset is huge, and hopefully you'll be able to understand what I'm exactly talking about here in this example. So let's say we're going over 3 games, right? 3 games right here. And let's say on average we get 4 at-bats every single game. I know every high school baseball player isn't necessarily going to be guaranteed 4 at-bats every single game, but let's just use this as a simple example, all right? So I'll use a different color. I'll use green for a base hit. So let's say we have a base hit here we have a base hit here, and then let's say we get 2 base hits there, right? But on the flip side, we're going to have a lot of failure, right? Failure is red. Boom, boom. We might even feel like we're really failing in this little area, right? Because that's 0 for like 5 or whatever, which is going to happen, right? But see, there's obviously moments of failure, moments of growth, right? And the big thing as baseball players to have this ability to have this growth mindset is to use all of these as learning experiences, guys. And I can't stress this enough. If you are successful, you get a base hit, or if you failed in the at bat, you struck out looking, you struck out swinging, you chased early in the count, you dug yourself into a ditch by swinging at balls earlier in the count. Guys, these are all things that you can learn from. And if we're not learning from these things, we're never going to have that mindset to be able to grow above those challenges that the game's going to present us, right? So, obviously, we're going to use that as a learning experience. We're going to use also our success of getting a base hit as a success. And to be frank, guys, just because you get a base hit does not mean your at bat was successful. You could have flared one. The defense could have made a mistake. There's a lot of things that could have gone your way to give you a base hit. Doesn't mean that you squared up the ball and you did what you were supposed to do in that at bat. But that's on for another video, right? So we need to use all of these as learning experiences. And this is the area where, to be honest with you, a lot of players will self-assess where they're currently at based off of their performance during, let's say, a 3-game span, right? So what can we do to expedite this growth mindset? So now we're only going to look at one singular game, all right? We're going to look at just one singular game right here. And this is, all of our at-bats are right here, A, B, A, B, A, B. This is 4 at-bats. And this is going to be the best way that you learn the game and also grow within the game, because you're going to be thinking every single pitch like you're in the batter's box. And this is, you're in the dugout. You're not actually in the batter's box all of these times when your other teammates are hitting, right? So let's say we're the leadoff guy and we're hitting number 1. We're going to go all the way through the lineup, let's say 4 times. On a great game, it would be 4 times, right? You're probably going to win if you go all 4 times. But again, guys, same principle applies. You might go 0 for, or let's say you go 1 for 4, right? You get a base hit in that last at bat. That's only 4. Well, that's only 4 times that we're learning from the game, right? We're getting feedback only 4 times, right? But there's 8 other hitters in the lineup. We need to be using that information to be able to understand like what the pitcher's doing, what pitch they're starting us off with. Maybe they're only throwing curveballs first pitch. You need to recognize that by looking at other batters, right? Because 4 at-bats is kind of a small sample size, right? But 27 is a little bit more. So maybe we can pick up some tendencies that the pitchers or maybe the catchers are calling. Maybe you're looking and scouting basically the catcher. Maybe he pops up a little bit more on a breaking ball. These are all things that you need to be thinking the game, not only in your at-bats. Obviously, you can't see the catcher in your at-bats, but you should be able to see those from the dugout, and you should be paying attention in the dugout when you're not hitting. And I get it. You might need to take a couple of outs off, right? Maybe you just struck out, you're frustrating. You're going to, put your head down for a little bit. It's okay. I did that too throughout my career. But to be able to pick yourself up and reignite yourself, especially, let's say like in this area, when you're not necessarily on deck, you're not necessarily in the hole, but you're getting ready, you're mentally preparing for your at-bats, right? So again, like there might be, some sprinkled hits in here, which are great for your team and your teammates. But there's also going to be a ton of failures, right? There's going to be so many failures because the game is based off of failure, right, guys? So if we're expecting to just be successful every single time, we are mistaken. We were given some very bad information, right? So as you can tell, there's a lot of red right here. But again, all of these, it doesn't matter if it's green or red, we get to learn from them. And that's the biggest lesson that I think I learned from a fairly young age, but I really saw it help my career out. The first year that I was in pro ball, I was like a hawk to these pitchers because I wanted to know everything about them. I wanted to be prepared. And I remember it was like we were on the front step. There was three of us. And we were just talking the game. We were looking at the pitcher. We were discussing the game. We were talking strategies. We were, talking, also have some fun. We were looking at some of the other guys' equipment. We were, giving other guys on the team compliments when they had a cool looking bat or a cool glove or cool cleats. Ultimately, we're engaged in the game. And that's something that I honestly have seen a ton of in high school and in college, surprisingly enough, like even like summer leagues. Guys will be on their phones in the middle of a game. Guys, no, maybe that's just your coaches being bad, but you can't have that happen, guys. All right, so now let's talk about what the growth cycle looks like. All right, and this is going to be the thing that we can ultimately break free from to be able to become our own best coach. Right. So we have four areas: we practice, we get evaluated, we adjust, and then we improve. Right. So this is the cycle. We practice really hard. We put a lot of effort in. And then maybe we go to like a college camp, we go to a showcase, maybe we just go to a high school practice and we get evaluated by our coaching staff. We, are given some type of nugget of information saying, hey, keep your hands back, you're lunging a little bit forward, stay down a little bit more on the ground ball or something like that. So this is all areas of evaluation, right? Evaluation is huge. That's how we're going to grow. It's the real feedback that we need. Next, we're going to go over and we're going to adjust based off of that feedback that we just received, right? So that information is going to be very helpful to be able to, understand what areas of our game we truly need to adjust in, right? Then we work hard and we improve those areas of improvement, right? We need to run a little bit faster because our coach told us we're a little bit slacking. We're not necessarily average as far as foot speed. We need to work on our sprint and agility. We are given that evaluation. We adjust our mindset and what we are ultimately working on, right? Then we improve, and then basically we get back to the drawing board, right? We continue to practice hard. We continue to push ourselves, work hard, and this is just like a never-ending cycle, honestly. And a lot of high school baseball players fall in this trap, which isn't a bad thing. At least you're getting the evaluations. There's some high school baseball players that don't care to get evaluation, but then also their high school baseball coaches don't care enough about their players where they don't give any type of evaluation, which kind of stinks, right? Because you're not given any type of evaluation, possibly, you never know what to adjust in your training, in your mindset, in your game. Sometimes your skills aren't there, and you never know what to adjust because you never had a good coach in your corner giving you that guidance that you truly need, giving you that evaluation that you truly need, and being real with you, right? Throughout my pro career, all I ever asked from my coaching staff, and even sometimes teammates, because our teammates are sometimes our best coaches as well, is I just wanted them to shoot me straight, right? Tell me what I need to hear, and tell me what I need to improve on. I don't want you to beat around the bush. Just tell me straight. I'm a man. I can take it. And that's going to help me get that evaluation from my peers, and then helps me adjust, helps me improve, and then helps me even practice, guys, because ultimately when we practice every single day as a pro baseball player, again, we're trying to become that one percenter. We need to have a mindset on when we're practicing, what we're working on, what we're trying to adjust for, and what we're trying to improve. But again, we're trying to break free from this, really, because the big component right here is the evaluation from coaches. So how do we break free from this? Well, number one, we need to be our own coach, right? If we can become our own coach, we've solved all the problems we need because we can become real with ourselves. We don't need to ask permission for others to be real with us. We're ultimately coaching ourselves every single rep. We know when we do something good. We know when we do something bad. We know when we can be improving a certain metric. For me, I was my own best coach when I knew I needed to get faster as far as my 60-yard dash. If I wanted to play the middle infield at the college level, I knew when I was a junior in high school, my 60-yard dash was like an 8.5 second 60. I was my own coach. I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, hey, Evan, you're not fast enough to play D1 baseball as a middle infielder. And I was a two-way. I pitched too as well. But I knew I wanted to give myself the best chance for success at the D1 level to be able to play both. So I put my head down, I worked hard, I adjusted my mindset and especially my training regimen. I created a sprinting program for myself, and then I went right here. I improved my foot speed, and it didn't take too much time. It took very, very consistent short bursts of work. And when I say that, it mostly was like 20 minutes basically every single day. And by doing that 20 minutes every single day, I was able to practice with a purpose. And then I skipped out on that evaluation part because I knew I was evaluating myself every single day. I was testing my limits and I was pushing myself. And ultimately, I was tracking, right? I was tracking my results. And whenever you want to improve in any area of your life, this isn't necessarily just about baseball, guys, but if you want to improve in anything, when you track things, they get managed. And maybe if you're a parent out there, you've probably heard, when you track things, you manage them, you get them better, they're measurable, and then we start to see improvement because we're putting it in our mindset on how we can get better, right? So these are the two areas. If you're your own coach and you're tracking your results every single day, you can break free from this needing a college coach or needing a high school or travel ball coach to give you that evaluation because you already know what you're good in and what you're bad in, all right? So this kind of moves us over into how we can develop physically and mentally to become a one percenter of all baseball players. So this is kind of going to be a side by side where some high school baseball players, this is your workout program. It's a very, very simple. It's on your notes app on your phone. You've done some research on social media, on YouTube, on what some workouts you should be doing, and ultimately you just write out some exercises. You write like 3 times 8, and then maybe you'll record the weight if that, right? But ultimately, there's no necessarily like shifting in that workout regimen. It stays pretty static, and it's not going to be the best as far as baseball related exercises. And maybe you'll find some on YouTube, but again, there's no accountability when you just have like a notes app or whatever, right? And you might say to yourself, well, yeah, I do the notes stuff just on my own, right? I do a high school baseball program, lifting class in high school or something of that nature, and I completely understand that. But again, that is what everyone else is doing, and maybe I just understood it to a deeper level when I was younger. But if you truly want to become just as good as everyone else, you're going to do what everyone else is doing. I always lived by the quote, do today what others won't, so tomorrow you can do what others can't, right? Big believer on that. So if you're not structured over here on this, notes app, what makes you think that that's going to be the separator? Because more than likely, a lot of other high school baseball players that take the game serious probably just simply do like this notes app and call it a day, right? Because they are willing to put a little bit more extra effort in, but they're not necessarily willing to go that extra mile and like make it structured, right? So this is what like our workout programs would look like. We use blocks. We superset a lot of the exercises, and of course, they're all baseball specific, and they're also written by a New York Mets strength coach. And then let's talk about like the mental side of things. A lot of guys will just like not even talk about the mental side of baseball, right? They'll neglect it, and that's okay, I guess. But it's only it's gonna come to a point in time when you fail in this game, and you're gonna start realizing those thoughts are taking over your performance. Don't let it come to that point, right? So, in a very quick nutshell, that is our structured approach for the mental side of things. All right. So which would you rather be? Would you rather neglect your mental side until you maybe hit a slump, and then maybe you're not necessarily super structured, you're not seeing the physical development that you're looking for, maybe you're a little bit undersized? Would you rather be on a structured workout program, right? So these are all areas that I love talking about. So last but not least, let's talk about the 1% pyramid. This is going to be what's helping you out, and also the understanding of where you should be really prioritizing your time, right? So we have a nice big pyramid right here. And down below, we have the fundamentals, which obviously we already talked about. It's very, very important. This is what I like to call like we're doing the building blocks, right? This is where we ultimately keep stacking up blocks to keep ourselves in check, right? This is where we build that foundation, that wall. It gives us the biggest opportunity. And again, if our fundamentals are as big as this pen, we're not going to be able to build this pyramid up super tall. And the taller this pyramid, the further you're probably going to make it in this game. Again, if you're trying to be that 1%, you're going to build that fundamental base very, very wide to get that understanding of what the fundamentals are and truly how to become an elite baseball player. Next up is the physical side of things, which obviously the game needs to have a physical component. If it doesn't, it's not going to be considered a sport, right? So this is where I'm going to do my best to, this is a bicep, right, and an arm. That kind of looks decent, right? My art skills aren't the best, but this is the physical strength that we need to be an elite baseball player. If you're neglecting the weight room, which I've actually heard a couple of sophomores and juniors in high school that haven't even started lifting in the weight room. They, I guess, just weren't ever brought to the realization that college baseball players, professional baseball players, work out just about 3 times a week for basically the rest of their life. And that's, holds true to me. Even when I was a sophomore in high school, I was exposed to working out during the high school baseball season and even during my summer season. And this is something that I've just always done throughout my, really 10 years of post high school baseball. But really 13 years ever since I started that. So basically for the past 13 years, I've worked out at least 3 times a week, every single week, right? So start to kind of comprehend on what the physical development and those requirements kind of look like. And then last but not least is the mental side of things, which a lot of people are going to neglect, and that's okay. This is me trying to draw a brain, which again, not terrible, but the mental development we definitely don't want to neglect because the mental side could make or break us. And I've seen so many players that I've been able to play alongside with. For example, Tommy Edman is one that just has a very, very positive mindset. You never know if he's going to be 0 for 35 or 35 for 35, right? He just always has that positive energy, and obviously the mental side of things is something that really clicked for him to be able to hold it down and hammer down his overall mental development. So these all work together. You can't just focus on the mental development and call it a day and expect to be a 1% baseball player. You can't just focus on the fundamentals and expect to be a 1% baseball player, right? So these all work together. These stages really work together. Obviously, the physical development, ultra important. You want to have the physical development, you want to have that mental development, and you want to have those fundamentals that are structured out. That way you can start practicing and preparing like a 1% of a baseball player. Now, if your player is a varsity high school baseball player and you want him to develop into a college prospect, go down below and schedule a call with me to learn how we can implement the triple play for your player.